Future Lego over here. You might have noticed the video that you just clicked on was uploaded before. That's right, I'm re-uploading this video. It was initially uploaded yesterday, but when it was uploaded yesterday, there was a problem in the uploading system, and on my YouTube, my videos page, this Steve Yzerman video showed up as a glitched upload, and even though it was fully up on YouTube with viewers and comments and advertisements and everything in between, it was really, really bizarre to have it show up as a glitched upload on my videos page. So I made the decision to take it down. I'm re-uploading it here today. I just wanted to get this little intro out for y'all just so you understand why this went down. YouTube's been really weird lately, man. In terms of viewers and auto-dubbing and restricted mode and everything in between, things have not been looking all too great on this platform lately, and my channel is suffering because of it, so any glitches or whatever I want to try to avoid as best as I can, which is why I deleted the video from yesterday. We're re-uploading it here today. I thought it was a meaningful enough commentary to get some conversations going, but I just wanted to step in there and clear up any confusion. Let's get into the Red Wings and whether or not Stevie Y ruined the team. Here we go. So I feel like a video like this was probably inevitable at this point. We're talking about the Detroit Red Wings, and we're talking about the Yzer plan, and how things have shaped up over the past few months, and whether or not things are actually looking good. You see, I came across the YouTube video of the folks on the Steve Dangle podcast talking about how Steve Yzerman is the man with no plan. How he is ruining the Red Wings. Now, I'm not going to go out there and disrespect Steve or Adam or Jesse. They put on a great show. I listen to it almost every week, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all who tune into my videos do too. They put on a pretty good show. But they had this segment about the Detroit Red Wings that I wanted to respond to and just kind of go over some of the ideas, just talk about the state of the team, because it's quite apparent from the comments section of their video that fans aren't really all too happy with the way the folks on the show spoke about the Red Wings. Comments about prospects and development and how there are players that are young in the organization and how Steve Yzerman has built through the draft. And I can see both sides here. I think it's quite evident that the Red Wings, the way that they've been assembled over the past few years, they did have some very, very dark times. Post Henrik Zetterberg, post Pavel Datsyuk, pretty much the time that Larkin got onto the team. They had some really bad days in 2019 and 2020. They were the worst team in the NHL in 2019-20 especially. But the thing is, they did have that little surge afterwards to push them further up into the standings. And now I think heading into 2025, 2026, it's all coming together in a way that I think a lot of fans outside Detroit might not realize. Now, I'm not saying the Red Wings are going to be a playoff team this upcoming year, but I am saying that they are a lot closer to doing that now than they were, let's say, 2-3 years ago. Sure, there have been a lot of hiccups and hurdles along the way, but when you think about the Red Wings draft progress, when you think about the transitory players that Steve Yzerman would unnecessarily bring onto these teams in spades in prior years, he hasn't necessarily done that this year, and the drafting has still remained pretty strong. Now, you can say, oh, guys on the team right now, you have Seider and Raymond. Okay, Seider and Raymond and then Edvinsson making their way onto the team. Marco Kasper's in there. He's probably second-line center material heading into the upcoming season. Carter Mazur probably would have been a full-time Red Wing had he just stayed healthy. Nate Danielson is already in a spot where already he's showing off his skill, and I think a lot of people have started to open their eyes to the idea of him being a pretty strong roster contender this upcoming season. Say what you want about Axel Sandin Pellikka and his abilities, but he can potentially make an impact in the next few years. And then in goaltending, you have Sebastian Cossa, Trey Augustine, pretty good guys there. And ultimately, there should be a pretty good idea of hope for this team into the next few years. But the question ultimately is that enough for right now? Because all these prospects, all of these players that they've drafted, starting out with Seider in 2019 was 6 years ago, so I can understand if Red Wings fans are getting impatient here, especially after the way last season went. The disappointment of missing the playoffs by a wide margin, the disappointment from Dylan Larkin and the comments that he had made about how the Red Wings didn't add and how that was frustrating for him. Steve Yzerman was very conservative at the trade deadline this most previous year, and you can say whether or not that was a good or a bad thing, but I do at the very least admire his respect to the bit. How Stevie Y is not going to go out there and just shell out all the prospects to try to make an immediate playoff push and inevitably break that streak that Larkin has been a part of ever since his rookie season with the Red Wings. You can respect the fact that he's not going out there and shelling out the young guys, which has always been the plan in a way, right? Build through the draft. In the meantime, get some middle-aged dudes to fill out the roster spots whilst those prospects develop, and at some point in the future, all the prospects will graduate onto the team, they'll grow together, and the Red Wings culture of winning will start up once again, right? It's just, Dylan Larkin is getting a lot older, and he is the heart and soul of the team, or at least he should be. Drafted in 2014, he's 5 years older than Mo Seider. He's already been through most of what has been the dark days in Detroit in this stint. And honestly, I just feel bad the most for him, especially considering his reaction to the Red Wings sucking after the Four Nations face-off, an environment where it was super competitive and the hockey was intense, probably the most intense hockey Dylan Larkin has played in a decade, if we're going to be real here. So him getting a taste of that and then lashing out afterwards in the media because of the lack of success with the Red Wings, I can totally understand that. Not to mention the fact that when you think about the drafting and the situations that the Red Wings have been placed upon with the draft lotteries, they haven't really been given the best of luck in all these years either. Now, they did luck out in 2020, for example. As we had said, they were the worst team in the NHL 2020, and they didn't get the first overall pick. They slipped from first all the way to fourth. And normally slipping from 1 to 4 would be a total damning of the organization, and you would lose out on so much draft talent. But think about the players that went in that 1, 2, 3, 4. You got Alexis Lafreniere, Quentin Byfield, Tim Stützle, and then Lucas Raymond. Now, you can make the argument that Stützle is the best player out of everybody in 2020, but Lucas Raymond could be seen as number 2. You could even debate number 1. So, I do think that the Red Wings, whilst getting unlucky, kind of got lucky in the process, and that's just one small part of it. You can say a bunch of other stuff about the Red Wings and their drafting, but at the end of the day, you think about this archetype that Stevie Y has taken in these drafts. The Kaspers, the Danielsons, the Brandstad Newgards, the fact that these guys are all hardworking, hard to play against, high-skill players that had very similar profiles in the draft. Now that we're starting to see these guys all push for roster spots around the same time, it's around this time where we're going to see whether or not those fruits bear any salvation. And for the Red Wings fan base, I think a lot of them are just kind of still going through the motions of being optimistic and looking at the team and saying, yeah, there are enough young guys to be excited for. Enough of them will make the team to give this team a new spark. And as long as the rest of the team does their job, as long as you get what you're expecting out of DeBrincat, Kane, Raymond, Larkin, and then maybe some of the new guys maybe pop off too, like hopefully JVR has a strong year. Hopefully Mason Appleton has a strong year. He was pretty good with the Winnipeg Jets. As long as some of these newer dudes show off well, and as long as Moritz Seider gets some support on the right side of defense, I think a lot of folks are a little more optimistic on Detroit this season than they were at the end of the most previous one that concluded. Now, maybe that's an off-season's worth of hope being shoved into one's psyche there, but still, I do think it's a little unfair at this point to put out those pitchforks and say that Steve Yzerman has run the Detroit Red Wings into the ground and ruined the team. I don't know, man. I just think that there's a lot more to the Red Wings plan that has not been fully displayed at the NHL level just yet. And I get it, you can say, oh, you're giving this guy too much of a pass. Oh, how long can you be patient for? And I don't know, it's really just the long length of time a rebuild takes that's keeping the dream alive, especially with the push that the Red Wings made to almost make the playoffs in 2024. That was really out of nowhere, and there were a lot of fans around the NHL that weren't Red Wings fans that said, okay, they're finally taking the next step, and then the season after they took a step back, and then Stevie Y didn't make any big swings in free agencies or trades the upcoming year, and so now it's like, oh, they're mediocre, and they're okay with being mediocre. I don't think so. I think they're just waiting for the young guys to fully make an impact and let the older players age out. So, with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did Steve Yzerman really ruin the Detroit Red Wings? Let me know your opinions in the comment section. I'll leave a link in the description to the SDPN clip that I was referring to as well. I hope you enjoyed this Swedish Trolls 99, and bye.